were against the wall. The Houston Astros had all odds against them. They came into this game and they gave up a grand slam in the first inning. Oh my gosh, what is going to happen? The Atlanta Braves are going to celebrate, but no. Guess who came to save the day? The Astros bats and Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin Gonzalez, please accept my apology. It was just a matter of how you were used and when you were used to become another World Series legend for the Houston Astros in 2021. This is Locked On Astros. We start now.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always apologizing to Marwin, always Stros.
All right, so this was a game that the Astros had backs against the wall, and we expected Framber Valdez to come out, pitch the game of his career, and the first inning, it was no bueno. It did not look good. It looked like, I know there's an error by Alex Bregman, and then we also had Yordan Alvarez throw the ball to the wrong base. There's a lot of things that led up to that grand slam, but all Astros fans had to have, like, I was driving back from trick-or-treating with my kids, and I was in the car. I just got some food, and I was just like, adding Duvall's up. What's going to happen? And I just hear the deep fly ball, and I'm like, no, don't do this to me, man. No, grand slam, another grand slam. This is 4 grand slams in I think in the playoffs or in the World Series or something. But this is Framber Valdez doesn't give up a lot of home runs, but he's given up 4 in the playoffs. This is something that I would not have expected, but the Astros did something that only 2 other teams have done in the history of the World Series. They have won a game where they allowed a grand slam.
Yeah, that was huge. And I literally, when they hit that home run, I looked at my wife and I said, I'm not saying the game's over in the bottom of the first inning, but if this is any indication of the way this game is going to go, the Braves are going to score a lot of runs. And I said the Astros have to counterpunch. And, it's just like life. It's just like Rocky taught us. It's not whether you get knocked down. It's what you do when you get knocked down.
Right.
And this is the team. And Eric, I told you, and while we had all these Braves fans, they were basically popping champagne bottles on our podcast and telling us good season and how they were better than us and blah, blah, blah. I said, but this is the one team in the major leagues that with their backs against the wall, they surely can come back. Now, everything changes. It shifts back to Houston, and the Braves are more susceptible to giving up runs now. They have used their bullpen ad nauseum. They now have 2 more games where they have to. The Astros used their bullpen tonight, but it was at a minimal pace that they used their bullpen, Eric. And at the end of the day, they came out smelling like roses. There's still a couple guys at the plate that aren't really doing what they need to be doing, but they got 10 hits and they scored 9 runs. They showed how many runners they scored on or runs they scored on 2 outs, in the first 4 games compared to tonight. And it was like, boom, 4 runs on 2 outs. And it was just amazing. Eric, I don't know if you know this, but the Astros have been down in the 4 series in a row where they've been down in a series, either 2 or 3. They have actually come back and won 3 in a row. So this will be a 5th time in a row. All they got to do is they got to get another win, and they got to push it to Game 7. But guess what, Eric? You're going to Game 6. Are you excited?
Yeah, that's why my thumbnail was this. I'm going to game 6 because you kept on making big deal about it. And somebody even tweeted me, hey, we want you to go to game 6. So
That's
yeah,
right.
we're doing this. And speaking of coming on, Weston from the Talking Astros podcast was supposed to be coming on, and he's literally actively trying to come on right now, but apparently Restream is blocking him. So we're going to try to figure that out for a future podcast, but he's literally trying to come on right now. So I know a lot of his fans are watching here, expecting him to make his Locked On Astros debut. But guys, while we're talking about YouTube, thank you guys for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's YouTube. Keep on subscribing to us, keep on giving us a like, where it's audio version, which is Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you listen to your podcast, keep on listening to the Locked On Astros podcast. And the teams that lost after hitting grand slam is the 1988 A's. Jose Canseco hit a grand slam, but they ended up losing 5-4. And the 1956 Yankees, Yogi Berra hit a grand slam, and they ended up losing 13-8. And now the Houston Astros have just made more history. So
exactly. Yeah. And, that is the thing. This game, Eric, it literally, the momentum changed. The momentum shifted. And the second the Astros tied it, then when the Braves went up 5-4, I had flashbacks of the Game 5 World Series where the Astros beat the Dodgers at home. And I was like, you don't want to get into a slugfest late in the game. This crowd will be hard to take out, right? But they took it out. 2 hitters' names I want us to make sure that we highlight today: Alex Bregman and Marwin Gonzalez. I know there's others, but those 2 guys right there. And then Eric, 2 pitchers, Maton and Graveman. Maton and Graveman were the pitching MVPs of the night. Maton is he's like king of the hill. This guy goes out there, Eric, and has been absolute nails for this team. He had some shaky but he had some shaky situations that he was put into, gave up some runs, had some unlucky hits, but he has literally been locked down. Graveman comes in, Duvall comes up, and you're like, gosh, this guy hit a grand slam earlier. What's he going to do now? And he just shuts it down. And Bregman being moved in the lineup, he gets a double, his first AB, and it plates a run. And he was 1 for 4, but he did enough. He did what he was supposed to do. He got a hit and scored it, and he got an RBI.
Right. And so I know that Bregman, I know that Dusty Baker before the game talked to Alex Bregman and said, hey, this is not that we're down on you. You're not the only guy struggling, because if you look at Altuve, Alvarez, the guy who basically carried the Astros in the ALCS, he's been struggling too. So it's not that he is the scapegoat. And that's what Dusty Baker said, but they needed to make some change. And they also felt like there was a lot of the chase rate was a little high because everybody was trying to beat a hero. And so with what we saw today was the players were basically swinging within themselves and making better contact. We saw the Alex Bregman work on his trying to keep his shoulder a little bit more just where it's going to hit better. So I think what we saw was a more complete effort in this game. And I think that I'm not going to go as far to say the momentum has shifted towards the Astros, because the Astros still have to win 2 more games. The Braves just have to win
true.
1 more game. But the Astros do have home field advantage at this point. And I will give credit to Braves fans. Did you see how many people are outside the stadium watching the game outside the stadium? You don't see that in Houston.
Oh, I thought
Good.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Maybe what?
I mean, I don't think we see that. Like they're literally outside of Houston.
No, yeah. Well, because they have a setup for viewing. That's an intentional design portion of the stadium, where it's like you get to experience the game, but you're not in the game. Right. They also have grown men wearing pearl necklaces, which you wouldn't see in Texas. That's a whole nother story. But yes, 2 other hitters I want to highlight: Carlos Correa and Yuli Gurriel. Carlos Correa was absolutely barreling the ball tonight, Eric. He has been a nobody this World Series and came alive today. And his defense is always on point. Crushed it with the glove out there in the field. And then Yuli Gurriel, of course. Yuli Gurriel just hitting the ball these guys, Eric, this team, I'm telling you, and I've been telling these Braves fans, and I've been telling these naysayers and all these ye of little faiths out there, the Astros are the better team. And I told y'all, Tommy, I told you the pressure was on the Braves. It was on the Braves going into this game, and it's even mounting now.
Yeah. So if you didn't get to watch this game, you missed a great game. And if you get DirecTV, maybe you can watch it next time.
Yeah, that's right. So DirecTV they've got this great thing called DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
All right. So I know that that Dream Stream says that Greinke should get MVP if the Astros somehow win this series. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that Matan has really pitched his butt off, and he really deserves some consideration. But MVP of this game would have to be Martin Maldonado. I know just because of the at-bats he had, the situations he came up in. He got that fly ball, that sacrifice fly.
Yeah.
Where
And then
the game before it would have popped up and no runs would have scored. But then he had that big 2-run single or 1-run single. I forgot what happened, but Maldonado was a big reason. He had 3 RBIs and he had that walk, that bases loaded walk as well. And
yeah,
so,
did you notice in that at bat? I don't know at what point of the game you were or were not watching, but when he was at that at bat where he took that walk, he crowded the plate. He took away that sweeping off speed pitch that was being thrown at the time, and he took away the inside corner. And they compared where he was standing in that AB compared to where he was when he got the RBI, the sac fly. And Martin Maldonado masterfully created and produced a run by crowding the plate. And, you know, he has a lot of value. I know a lot of times he gets to bat and he doesn't do much, but tonight he did not just enough, but he did more than what was expected.
Yeah. So I think that was a big at bat, but I think the big situation was Bregman got dropped in order, and of course, big situation came his way, and he stayed in at bat, and he got that big double. And so I think what we saw was a lot of Astros just coming up with big hits today, and that's what you need if you want to come back and win this series, because the Astros will be facing their 2 better pitchers from this point on. Because they're only starting pitchers, I guess, because Max Fried and Ian Anderson, because Charlie Morton's no longer there. So, and then I don't really know who. I was going to say Dusty Baker's probably going to go with Luis Garcia on Game 6 on short rest, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I wouldn't be surprised if Jose Urquidy is the Game 7 starter, and then you just throw in Framber Valdez and the whole kitchen cabinet. Everybody else pitches in Game 7.
Yeah, you've got to. It is all hands on deck right now, and next game you're going to see a team that is fired up. You're going to see a city that is absolutely rocking, probably more so than Game 2. And I'm telling you, Eric, and if those of y'all listening by audio or you're watching, I want to thank y'all for making us your first listen. If you were at the stadium like we were, it sounded like the roof was closed. It was that loud. And I can imagine it's going to be pandemonium on steroids for game 6. It's going to be very difficult for the Braves to come back to Houston and to win even one game. I'm just saying the Astros, I don't necessarily know they're 100% in control, but they are definitely more at the helm and closer to being in the driver's seat than they have been these last 2 games.
Well, I think it's a very impressive that Alex Bregman can maintain his focus with the organist playing Free Falling by Tom Petty when he's batting.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Wow. Yeah, man. The organist is a real troll. They sound like a sourpuss. Like, man, I bet you they're really bad at playing hymnals at church because, man, that's some bad juju. I mean, they just I think that may have swung the World Series in our favor with this organist, and I think it's the same person that runs the Braves Twitter account who said we're like banging them out or something like that using like a trash can mantra. And I said, I really think these two people are the same people. Right. But at the end of the day, this series comes back to Houston. It's exactly what the Astros needed. Obviously, they needed a win. You would have liked for them to get a win in one of these last 2 games before that to be up 3-2. They're down 2-3. We've seen this before. Like I said, this is the 4th. This will be the 5th series that they're trying to go from being behind to winning 3 games in a row. Right. This team's more battle tested than all the other teams. This team, I think, has a little bit more character when it comes to fighting through adversity, and they will find a way to win game 6, Eric.
Thoughts by Dusty.
Well, I know this is before the game, but this is what Dusty Baker had to say. I'm a person who believes in miracles. And today was apparently a miracle because the Astros came back and they had their backs against the wall and they did it. So after the game, this is what Dusty Baker had to say. The pressure's still on us. They've got the lead. Thank you,
yeah.
Obvious.
No, exactly. Someone had asked earlier, do we think that Snedeker messed up by not using his best pitchers? And my response to that is he acted like he was managing to not lose. He didn't act like he was managing to win. I'll just throw that out there. You have to win this game if you're the Braves. You can't let Houston back in, because if you let this team get a foot in the door, they're going to break it down, man. I mean, they are going to, I mean, you can Katie bar the door all you want to. Our foot is in the door, and we kicked the door off its hinges, and the entire team is coming through, figuratively speaking. But I think this will serve as motivation. I think this will serve as inspiration. Right. Dusty, again, well, I mean, and today, Carlos Correa was interviewed before the game. Little things, Eric, the batting practice, all their kids got to have like Halloween trick-or-treating, and Carlos Correa was chasing around people with this Freddy Krueger mask, and they got to kind of get out of the seriousness of the moment. And I think that's important for these players mentally, because if they're sitting around the hotel all day and all they're doing is thinking about all these losses and stuff, that's a hard mental grind. And baseball's between the ears more than it is with your physical ability sometimes. And everything worked out for them today. It just, baseball is going to baseball. It hadn't worked out, and the tide had to turn, Eric, because there was no way that this bullpen was going to stay as stellar and dent-free as they had been the previous 2 games.
Yeah, the Braves,
As far as the Braves, yeah.
Right, yeah, because the Braves, eventually, the more you see a team, the more you're going to likely get them. It's just like Framber Valdez just didn't have his stuff. He hasn't had his stuff in the whole World Series, and I'm really hesitant to see him again, but he may have to come in. But he only threw how many pitches? 47 pitches, so he could be definitely available on Wednesday if needed. And definitely Urquidy, he only threw 14 pitches. That's basically Max Scherzer just throwing the 9th inning and then pitching 2 days later. So that's basically just a bullpen, just a in between throwing session. So I think that Urquidy will probably get the start in game 7. We already know that Luis Garcia will get the start in game 6. And then we'll probably see, I always want to say Scott Feldman, but not Scott Feldman.
Scott Feldman. What?
I don't know why his name always comes to my head, but
You're gonna start saying like Chad Qualls and Russ Springer and what's
but
going
Jake
on, Eric?
Odorizzi, I don't know, but Jake Odorizzi and Christian Javier will be available for the long relief for the next 2 games. And Game 7, everybody's in there to see what's going on. So we'll see what's going on in this situation. But how about Urquidy coming in, and he is now 3-0 in his World Series career. Just think about that. Let that sink in.
Yeah,
and just think about Greinke has more postseason hits than Mike Trout does. Well, I know that's a bad comparison because
no. Hey, it is. I mean that is a slap in the Angels organization's face because, like I said, the Angels and the Texans are the same type of team, just different leagues.
Right.
They've had amazing talent and they've done absolutely nothing with it. But I could care less talking about Roy Boy over there and Shohei Ohtani, the two-way wonder. I want to talk about the Houston Astros, and I want to talk about how this team is the team, the one team out of all 30 teams that has the moxie, that has the bravado, that has the will to go out and when their backs are against the wall, they're like Wolverines. You know, a bear can back a Wolverine into a corner, and that Wolverine will win just about every time. And that is how the Astros, they just seem to do better. And Eric, they set a record now. The 4 infielders, Yuli Gurriel, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, and Alex Bregman now have 72 games together in the postseason, more than any infield, more than any core 4 in Major League Baseball history. That is something. And it is sad to think that Carlos Correa is possibly not going to be a part of that core 4 next year. I'm just saying, Eric, come on. Why are you putting your hands up?
Why do you have to? We're having a great show.
I did,
just
Eric.
Go eat a Built Bar, Brett. You don't bring us down.
I'm not bringing you down. You're going to Game 6. What are you worried about? Okay.
Tell us about
Built Bar. Okay. All right. Built Bar has the best tasting protein bar in the business. It's wrapped in 100% chocolate. It is tasty for the healthy conscious guy or girl. 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today and get the grasshopper cookie or raspberry or whatever you like. Built Bar is the official protein bar of the USA Track and Field team. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKS15 for your order to get 15% off. This promo code LOCKS15 to get 15% off your first order at Built.com.
All right, guys, and thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube when you get to the office and you kind of get to stash it behind a computer and you're watching us while you're supposed to be working, or you can make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and give us a like, or if you're listening to audio version on your way home, just keep on listening to Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Keep on listening to Locked On Podcast, all regular season, all postseason, all off season. We're year round, baby. So definitely this is a situation that the Astros, I didn't want the Astros to be in. They're still down 3-2. There's no margin for error, but a team with as much experience as you keep on stating as the Astros have, they are in good situation. The crowd has got to bring it. And I'll be one of those. Me and my girlfriend will be at the game on Game 6, and we'll be definitely cheering for the Astros. Everybody needs to come and just root for the Astros because this is a big situation. And Luis Garcia, he's got to bring his A game. He can't be the same Luis Garcia that didn't last more than 2 innings the other day. He's got to be that Game 6 in the ALCS or whatever, whenever he pitched, where he had a lot of control and he can dominate, because throwing hard is great, but you got to be able to control those pitches. And Garcia didn't pitch bad. It just if the offense is struggling, then you've got to be very, very precise and you've got to go deep into this game. But just keep in mind, we stop thinking Feldman. What? We still have.
Where are you getting Feldman from?
I don't know. I guess I'm thinking
he doesn't even look like Feldman. No, he doesn't even look like Feldman. Come on,
Odorizzi
man.
and Javier are just are there in case there's any trouble. And the good thing about this game, even though Framber Valdez didn't last very long, you didn't have to use any of those two guys. So I know that Javier pitched last night too, so he wasn't really available in this situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. And I just see this team going in and taking care of business. I see this team, the relief pitching following the hot bats that I think come back. They're comfortable. You're going to see some long balls go into the Crawford boxes from the Astros. But how awesome would it be if Jake Odorizzi were to pitch in Game 7, like 3 or 4 key innings, and
is he the
he
Charlie
be
freaking Morton? Jake
yeah, I
freaking
mean,
Odorizzi?
we know he's not Charlie Morton by any stretch of the imagination, but wouldn't that be a great spot for him to come in and shine? The sky's the limit with this team. You have we have a cast of characters. You'll see Chas McCormick probably back in center field since we're reinstating the DH, and so he'll get more at bats, or Jose Siri. So look for that to change a little bit. But I think they stick with the lineup they went with tonight, Eric. He shook things up a little bit. He moved some guys around, and they got hit. So why mess that up, and why go through that and try to, rethink the wheel? You rethought the wheel and it worked.
All right, guys. So, yeah, the Astros offense showed something. They showed that they're not dead. I know we're still waiting on Alvarez to do something. We saw a little glimpse of what Bregman can do. Now, Altuve, he got that big hit as well, but we need the offense to come full tilt and just go all overboard. J. Paul, no. Greinke he had some great at bats in Atlanta, but no, he's not the DH. That's definitely not an option. And Dusty Baker would be fired immediately if he makes Zach
No,
Greinke.
he's being tongue in
I
cheek
know.
about that, but that's why I put that up. I mean, were you just as shocked as I was to see him go in as a pinch hitter?
I Somebody saying I wouldn't waste money. I'm going Game 6. Why would I waste whatever?
Well,
But
yeah, don't no. Did you hear it all what I said?
no, I was reading a
Okay,
comment. Go
Zach
ahead,
Greinke.
repeat your
Okay,
question.
Zach Greinke got a pinch hit line single. Were you surprised that he came in as a pinch hitter?
No, and the reason why is because in that situation, there's no reason to waste a quality hitter, so to speak, in that situation. I mean, there was already, I believe, one out at that time, and you had Martin Maldonado coming up afterwards, or no, Martin Maldonado was up first. Then you had the pitcher spot. So I think that was a perfect time to. You didn't have a big situation, so you didn't want to throw in Marwin Gonzalez in that situation because you needed him later in the game. Chas McCormick, you might have needed him later in the game.
What about
So that
Diaz? I
was
guess Diaz.
well, yeah, but that early in the game, I think you didn't want to waste a pinch
That's
hitter
true.
in case you needed somebody earlier. And
Adam
and
says,
and he is Babe Ruth after all. I mean,
yeah.
come
Well,
on, he is the self-proclaimed Babe Ruth.
Adam says Greinke is better than Maldi. I don't know. Maldi got key hits tonight. Maldi, give him credit. He did a great job. He got that key work, key walk. And we do have a bullpen that has been used a lot, but I think you got a day off. And I think the day off works well in their favor. You know who needs 2 days off? The Braves bullpen, because they have been overused. You probably won't see Smiley.
Graveman needs a day off, and so does
Yeah,
Natan.
but I'm just saying, Smiley, who went long, Minter has shown he has chinks in the armor. Matzik is probably one of their few reliable guys. Chavez is not really worth anything going in there. I am not at all worried about the Braves going to 2 more bullpen games, basically. And then I guess the last game they're going to throw, they'll throw what, Anderson the last game?
No,
Right?
Max Fried is going Game
Okay.
6.
Okay. So Max Fried goes, okay, well, you know what? I forgot about him because he kind of disappeared when he pitched against the Astros in Game 2. And so I'm not
Max Fried
Eric,
actually did pretty good. He dominated. There's that 1 or 2 bad innings where the defense kind of fell short, and he shut the Astros down. But I think the Astros can get to him, and
what
especially,
I'm saying.
they've got to wake up. They got to get more consistent hits. They got to string together hits like they did today. They can't do this. They can't keep on getting hits with 2 outs. That's the thing that's the most frustrating. Yes, you're going to score some of those runs, but you can't keep on relying on that statistic. I mean, you've got to try to get the hits with no outs. That way you can advance the runners and try to score some more runs. So a lot of people John Doe was asking about, what do you think about starting Garcia on a short rest? I don't think it's really that short. I mean, he is short rest, but I don't think he threw a lot of pitches last game, because if I remember correctly, he went only 4 innings. I don't have it right in front of me. I can look real quick, but that was game 2 that he pitched. Let me see. That was game 3, and he pitched. He threw 72 pitches. So it may be a little bit short rest, but it wasn't like 100 pitches. So I think that you may see him. But this is the World Series. After this, you're done. So they're not going to risk his arm falling off for next year, but they're going to let him go as far as they can go. So he threw 72 pitches, 3.2 innings, and he allowed 3 hits and 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. So overall, it wasn't a bad game, but in that game, the Astros were being no hit, and they had no signs of offense waking up. So it just was like one of those times where Garcia is just bad timing. So, and Urquidy always gets the run support.
You've got to come out and get run support. You've got to take momentum from the beginning of game 6. And these hitters seem like they're starting to figure out the Braves pitching a little bit. I mean, the over, dude, a bet on the over was huge. It was like plus 350 on the over was right at 10.5, and I almost put money on that, and I didn't. I should have. I would have won a lot of money tonight had I gone with my betonline.ag prediction of, the over number. I was like, because they haven't been scoring more than 10 runs. They literally scored 5 runs, 7 runs total in 2 games. And so that was huge. That was huge. Not only did they get 9 runs, but they got 10 hits. I mean, that is massive, Eric. We've had games where this team's gotten a lot of hits but not scored any runs. And that's what needed to happen. They fixed what they needed to fix. Now they go back home. They're in the friendly confines of the juice box. The crowd is going to be electric. Y'all are going to get there early. You're going to be staying there late because you're going to be celebrating the extension of the World Series to a Game 7. And then we're going to see what the boys do from there.
All right, I want to kind of address this. I mean, there's on Twitter, I think he came out and said something on Instagram actually, and then somebody said, "Hey, why haven't you come to any games this year?" In terms of Justin Verlander, and he came out and said, "Well, due to his rehab, he would have to be taking like coaching, like the what do you call them, the rehab." Team doctors, or what, he would have to be taking rehab time or just time away from them. And he would he tried to come to the clubhouse a few times, but he would have to quarantine for a certain amount of time before he can hang out with the guys. And so there's just several things. Y'all have to go see his the thread from earlier, but he basically said that there's just so many reasons that he has not been around the team this year. It has nothing to do with him not feeling like he's part of the team anymore. It's just the fact that there's things outside of his control that he wanted to take away from team resources, basically, is what he's saying.
Honestly, I think it's a non-story. I mean, he didn't show up. I mean, the guy's getting paid $33 million to recover. I mean, he's got 33 million reasons not to show up, and I don't see him coming back. I don't feel like Verlander has a connection to this team or to this city the way the city feels like they're connected with him. I'll just be real honest with you guys. I'm just going to shoot straight with you. I don't think Justin Verlander is in love with Houston as much as Houston is in love with Justin Verlander. And that's not a knock on Verlander. Just sometimes it doesn't happen. This guy spent his whole career in Detroit. He did come here and win a title. He did embrace it. He did, he was on the Ford commercials. He did all this stuff and he embraced it while I was here. The guy's on his way out. I mean, he's not Josh Reddick. He's not Miles Straw. He's not it's just not his personality. He's more of a big league type player, and he's got his family and he's got his rehab. And I think everybody's been like taking it personally. It's like, get over it. He's his own person. Let him do whatever the heck he wants. Yeah. He's not required to be in the dugout. He's recovering from freaking Tommy John. Leave the guy alone. Who cares? We're trying to win the 2021 World Series, not say hi to Justin Verlander.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was kind of a weird situation, but I don't want to spend too much more time with that. But I'm just glad that the Astros are going back home, and they need to force Game 7 because Game 7, anything can happen. And what is weird is the fact that it's been a while since a team has clinched the World Series actually at home. So yeah, it's gonna be the Astros will have to do that this time around. So the Astros have to win 2 games at home. They can do that, and Game 7, anything can happen. Like I said, so I see Urquidy go ahead and doing that, getting that start, and they're gonna probably have a very short leash with him. But at the same time, I can see him just going out there and dominating. And then you bring in somebody like Odorizzi, and he goes all Charlie Morton and pitches 4 innings. And
now let me be. I was being a little fast and loose with the Charlie Morton comparison. I don't want people to trash me in the comments. I mean, I'm just saying it would be great for him to come in and have a moment like that. I don't know that it would be Charlie Morton-esque, but Jake Odorizzi may be motivated. He may be motivated because he hasn't really had an opportunity to, and he's at Minute Maid Park, and he's kind of figured some things out. So it's just one of the things that at the end of the day, they've got the horses to where I think the horses in the bullpen of the Braves is a lot more spent and a lot more susceptible. And again, the Braves don't have this lineup, Eric. This lineup woke up. This lineup, I think, will continue to stay awake. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah. So the Astros, I think that will ride this momentum that they have. I hate that there's a plane ride. We'll see if we can get Jake on from the Locked On Braves podcast to kind of touch base tomorrow before the game on Tuesday. We'll definitely do another podcast afterwards. That game, hopefully it's celebrating a victory. Wouldn't it be nice to be tied 3-3 and the chance to actually win this thing after being down 3-1, because that was such a depressing feeling. And that show after Game 4 was like one of the most like we were both kind of just like, ugh. But it was just a situation where the Astros just their hitting just couldn't do anything. But now it's a different situation. I think the bats are a little more comfortable, and sometimes like they were in 2019 season, or was it? Yeah, it was 2019 with versus Rays, or was it last year? I keep on. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Ask that question again.
Where they came back from being down 3-0.
That was in the 2020 playoffs, because remember they were allowed in the playoffs because they expanded the playoff participants and they were sub 500, and the Rays took them by storm 3-0, where Kevin Kiermaier was jumping for pop flies that weren't going out of the park. And then we came back, and then Game 7 we just didn't have enough. And I believe Morton or Snell pitched that game. I believe it was Morton, but anyways, the Astros again have done it, and the Astros, I think, have the ability to do it this year. It's their battle testedness, it's their readiness at home, it's the immediacy of being at Minute Maid Park and being at the game. Yes, we know you're going to the game. We know you were like a kid in a candy store right now. You're like, guess where I'm going, Mr. Brett? I'm going to the World Series. That's right. We need to make one of those like Disney-esque type commercials tonight. Eric, where are you going? I'm going to Disney World now.
I'm going to the World Series.
Oh, wow. That was an interesting voice. All right. On that note, this has been Locked On Astros podcast. I'm joking. But, seriously, Here's the thing. Keys to victory on Tuesday, Eric, and we'll talk about this Monday. The starting pitcher has to deal.
And it
The
has to have
bat,
control. He's got to
yeah,
have
he has
control.
to have
He can't.
control. You got to limit the walks.
Mhm.
And Bregman has got to hit again. Alvarez has got to get off the schneid. They just got to,
Early offense. You got
yeah,
to
early
score early.
offense, score and gain the
Put the pressure
momentum.
on them. Put the pressure on them. Get the crowd into the game, because Minute Maid Park can be loud and rowdy. It can also be very silent if you're down 9-2, and so you want the crowds involved. You've got to give them something to cheer for. So early offense, and the bullpen has got to keep on doing what they've been doing. And I hate to say this, but we've been relying on the bullpen more than I think anybody thought. And I know the Braves went out, and you heard the broadcast saying, "Oh yeah, they went out and got all these outfielders. Look at where it's taken them." But James Click went out and got all these relievers. Where would we be without Kendall Graveman, Phil Maton, and then Yimi Garcia? We would be up the creek without a paddle. We probably wouldn't be in this situation.
Let me finish off with some levity here. Okay. Their relief pitchers, Chavez, Minter, okay, he's their decent guy. Martin, Chris Martin, former Ranger, and Drew Smiley. Our counterpunch, Yimi Garcia, Jose Urquidy, Phil Maton, Ron Stanek, and Kendall Graveman. You tell me, 10 times out of 10, you're taking what the Astros have to offer, not what the Braves have to offer. And you know what's funny? I'm looking through the comments, and I've been scrolling through the comments our entire show. Not a single Braves fan. Good Lord. Amazing what happens when humility hits you between the eyes. You know, pride always comes before the fall, Braves. Oh. We're taking it back, baby. We're going back to game 6, and we're going to take control of this series.
Carlos Correa just said after the game, "Hey guys, did you see how close Martin Maldonado was to the plate? That was sick." So yeah, I think everybody saw that. That was very like Martin Maldonado knows who he is, and the Astros know who they are, and they are a very serious team, and they mean business. So I think we'll see the Astros get another victory in Game 6, and they're going to force a Game 7 where we're all going to have a heart attack and just watching that game, because it's going to be super stressful. So that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll be back again tomorrow.